boxing world says goodbye to 3 fighters. And when you see guys who you saw fight early in their career and they're retiring now organically, I mean, not extremely early due to injury, but they've pretty much solidified their career with Hall of Fame credentials for each of them. It kind of makes you realize how old you are. And when you see guys start to go like that. Wladimir Klitschko, Juan Manuel Marquez, and Timothy Bradley Jr. have all decided to hang the gloves up on their outstanding boxing careers. You can't accuse any of these 3 men of ducking or dodging any fighters in their career. And while none of them may be considered the best, I believe that they would have given anyone in any era of boxing a hard night. They would have been trouble. Believe that. I'm going to start with Timothy Ray Desert Storm Bradley Jr. Timmy ends his career with 33 wins, only 2 losses, and a questionable draw. He had 13 wins by knockout, and his only losses were to Manny Pacquiao, one man. And there's no shame in losing to arguably the best fighter of this era. Bradley won 5 world titles, a couple weight classes, and he faced these guys in order. Former IBF World Lightweight Champion Miguel Vasquez. Former WBC World Light Welterweight or Junior Welterweight or Super Lightweight Champion Junior Witter. He fought Edner Cherry, Kendall Holt, Nate Campbell, Lamont Peterson, Cheaterson, Louis Abregu, Devin Alexander, Yoel Casamayor, the only 8 division world champion, 11 world titles in those 8 divisions in the history of boxing, Manny Pac-Man Pacquiao, Ruslan Provodnikov, Juan Manuel Marquez, Manny Pacquiao again, Diego Chavez, Jesse Vargas, Brandon Rios, Manny Pacquiao again. Most of those names that I mentioned were former world champions. I'm not going to go into, I have the statistics, but I'm not going to go into what champions and what weight classes, but the majority of those guys were multiple champions, either at one weight or at different weights. They won numerous titles. So Timothy Bradley didn't have the biggest punch in the world, but he always fought like he did. I mean, he had an unquestionable heart, and he was a dog in there. And I mean, win or lose, you knew you were in there. You knew you were in a fight after you stepped out of the ring with Timothy Bradley. One of my favorite guys. I think a couple of favorite moments of mine were when he pretty much punked Devin Alexander in that fight, that dreadful fight in Detroit, Michigan. I think what was it called? The Fight to Save Boxing, and a lot of people stayed home. I don't think the weather cooperated too much at the Pontiac Silverdome, which I think they tore down. And he made Alexander quit. Devin had cuts over his eyes due to punches and due to a headbutt. But I remember him having trouble with one eye. And then when they came to ask him, after Bradley started dogging him, they came to ask him which eye was giving him trouble. And he pointed to the other one that wasn't giving him trouble. And I was like, okay, he took the fight out of Devin Alexander. I also remember when he fought Kendall Holt. And Kendall Holt landed his money punch, that left hook, to Timothy Bradley, and I thought the fight was over. And I'll add a video, but check out the 40-second mark of the video below. And then watch Bradley's head and his eyes on the slow motion replay at the 44-second mark. So they'll show the shot in regular time, and then a few seconds later they're going to show the slow motion and how his neck looked like it snapped and his eyes just rolled back in his head. And it still amazes me to this day. Bradley just kind of popped right back up and fought. And if it amazes me to the day, I know it bothers Devin Alexander, who's probably like, how the hell did he get up after that? But that's Timothy Bradley. So best wishes to him. Next up, Juan Manuel Dinamita Marquez Mendez. 56 wins, 7 losses, 1 draw, 40 knockouts. He held 9 world titles in 4 different weight classes. And he fought in a total of 5 weight classes. Marquez lost his first fight, and then he rolled off 29 wins in a row before losing a WBA featherweight title shot against Freddie Norwood. So back in the day, you got knocked down the ladder and you had to earn your way back up. This was real boxing back in the day. So about 4 years later, he got his second chance and he won the vacant IBF featherweight strap. And then later that year, he unified and won the WBA title over Derek Gainer. So that made him a unified champion. In 2004, he fought lineal champion Manny Pacquiao, and despite being dropped 3 times in the first round, the fight ended up in a split decision draw. Over the course of the next few years, he kind of jumped between featherweight, super featherweight, lightweight, welterweight, and he took on all comers. I think Marquez will be remembered for 3 things. One is being one of the best counterpunchers in boxing. His 4 fights with Manny Pacquiao would be the second thing that he'll be remembered by. And thirdly, and certainly not the least important, the shot heard across the world on December 8th, 2012 against Manny Pacquiao. He will always be remembered for that counterpunch that knocked Manny Pacquiao cold. Watch Marquez's fights with Juan Diaz and Smoke Gainer and Julio Cervasio. Brutal. And I'll leave that video below too. And Yoel Casamayor and many others. But like I said, the shot that shocked the boxing world, Marquez's fourth and final fight with Manny Pacquiao. Marquez didn't get any breaks in the previous 3 fights with Manny, so he decided to create his own break for himself, and it was perhaps the most significant punch of the past decade. He's not getting up, Jim. He's not getting up, Jim. He's not getting up, Jim, exclaimed Roy Jones. I mean, that kind of might wind up being Roy's signature phrase or memory phrase from his commentating career when it's all said and done. So JMM's final fight was against Mike Alvarado, and if you check in his career as a professional boxer, he fought Freddie Norwood, Robbie Peden, Manuel Medina, who was a 5-time world featherweight champion, beat him. Derek Smoke Gaynor, Manny Pacquiao 4 times, as we said, Orlando Salido, Marco Antonio Barrera, Ricardo Rocky Juarez, former WBC World Super Featherweight Champion and WBC Ring Magazine and Lineal World Lightweight Champion, Yoel Casamayor, Juan Diaz, Floyd Mayweather Jr., Michael Casitas, Mike Alvarado, Timothy Bradley Jr. For young fans who don't know, Juan Manuel Marquez was a Hall of Famer before the Pacquiao knockout. Believe that. Last up, we got Wladimir Vladimitrovich Dr. Steelhammer Klitschko. Wladimir ends his career at 64 wins, 5 defeats, with 53 big wins by knockout. You know, many fans and media find it difficult where to place Vlad in the all-time heavyweight great category. And when you're faced with a challenge like that, what you have to do is then look at the boxer's accomplishments in their particular era. If you do that, then Wladimir is in the top 10, maybe top 5 all time. He defended the heavyweight title 23 straight times, second only to the great Joe Louis. Wladimir had a polarizing style. I mean, most people considered him dull, boring, with his circling jab, his kind of cerebral style, and it wasn't what fans want. Fans wanted action. They considered him to be too robotic. So it's funny that the last fight was the most action-packed fight that Wladimir was involved in, at least to our memory. And at age 41, he gave fans something to remember for a lifetime. 90,000 fans that created an electric atmosphere as Klitschko took on Anthony Joshua. And the old man didn't let people down in that fight. He didn't let those fans down. He didn't let those who considered him boring. First 4 rounds, okay, we'll spot you those 4 rounds. But in the 5th round, Anthony Joshua came out. He jumped on Wladimir, and he dropped him. Klitschko got up angry, and if you remember the 5th round, Klitschko dominated the rest of the 5th round, and I think he saw something, because in the very next round, we'd never seen this from Klitschko as far as that anger is concerned. The very next round, Klitschko came out, landed a straight right boom, and dropped Joshua hard. Joshua got up. He was in trouble. He was gassed. And the old man just couldn't finish him. So between the next 4 or so rounds, Klitschko, he won his fair share. Joshua won his. And ordinarily, once you drop Klitschko the first time, he's kind of, it's usually bad for him. But he came back. He showed something. He showed that he had something even at the advanced age. And eventually, Joshua caught up to him in the 11th round. 1 round to go. And landed an uppercut, which probably would have kept the younger version of Wladimir Klitschko, and most heavyweights for that matter, down for good. But somehow he stayed up. But the youth prevailed, and he got dropped again, and then some follow-up combinations had the referee jump in. To be honest, I thought that the referee stopped it prematurely. When you look at the replay, you see that pretty much almost all of the shots missed. Wladimir was tired, of course, extremely, but no more tired than Joshua was a few rounds earlier before he recovered. I just thought he should have been given the opportunity to finish. The referee thought differently, but Wladimir specifically gave fans what they've been clamoring for years. And I got to tell you, there were so many people looking forward to the rematch. The majority would think that Joshua would get him the second time, but there are some questions. And boy, I would have loved to see the old man do it again. But when you look at the salaries that each man received, once you count everything, not the guarantee, but what each guy received, he's going to retire with a lot of money in his pocket just off of that one fight. So Wladimir Klitschko, he did more for some fans in that final loss than he did for those same fans and as well as media in his entire career. So hats off to him. He showed the heart of a champion that night, and he was just one big punch away from stopping the AJ train. But so in his career, Wladimir Klitschko ducked nobody. He fought former 3-time challenger Axel Schulz, former title challenger Monte Barrett, 2-time world heavyweight champion Chris Bird, former IBF champion Francois Botha, Ray Mercer, former WBO heavyweight champion, Jamil McCline, Lamont Brewster, Samuel Peter, Calvin Brock, Hasim Rahman, Alexander Povetkin, Kubrat Pulev, Jean-Marc Mormec, Bryant Jennings, Tyson Fury. I put an asterisk by Fury's name because Fury failed drug tests before the fight with Klitschko without Klitschko's knowledge. Of course, this is boxing, so they're not going to take that record. They're not going to take that decision and reverse it for whatever reasons. Anthony AJ Joshua. So, and there are others on Klitschko's list I could have mentioned, but so to Dr. Steelhammer, to Dinamita, to Desert Storm, I wish all three of you the very best. You'll be missed, and thank you for the great careers that you had. We'll catch you in the next one.